شهر 5 و10.
انتي 6 دقايق؟
ها
ايه
انتي بتيجي كم؟
6 انا زهقة نحن مع بعض.
انتي 6
بروح 12 خلاص 12 ساعة 3 خلاص.
Are you Italian now?
Yes.
Hey! Come on, have a seat. Again, please. You might have some chairs and seats over here. Ladies, can we start class, please?
7 and was an accident.
Okay, welcome back. So, for the last few moments of class here, we're going to talk about barotrauma, hypothermia, and drowning. So, remember, you do have your keys in front of you, and we're going to watch about three short videos. And then we will finish up with the exit keys and a little Kahoot game. So first of all, let's. Do you want lights down? Yeah, lights down.
Yes, sir, please.
There we go. All right, great. So let's start. We're going to talk about drowning. I think this is about drowning. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, sorry guys. Let me just fix something here. There, much better. Okay, so I apologize. I have the wrong title in there. That should say barotrauma. So we're going to learn about what barotrauma is.
Decompression sickness is also known as Divers disease or casein disease. According to Henry's law, the amount of gas dissolved in a liquid depends on the pressure above the liquid. Decompression sickness is caused by a reduction in ambient pressure that results in the formation of bubbles of gases within tissues of the body. DCS can occur during exposure to altitude, for example flying. It can also occur during ascent from depth, for example diving. The gases dissolved under higher pressures form bubbles when the ambient pressure is lower. These bubbles can cause various problems. DCS can produce many symptoms, and its effects may vary from joint pain and rashes to paralysis and death. Neurological symptoms can be confusion, memory loss, or unconsciousness. That is it for today. See you next week. Like me on Facebook or check out the YouTube channel.
All right, good. So, any questions about DCS or barotrauma? What were the certain? At what points can we get things like DCS and barotrauma?
Diving.
Decompression sickness. Diving. So when you're coming up from diving, and then also what did the pilot say? When you are high up. Good. All right. Let's talk about hypothermia.
For hypothermia, you want to get the person out of the cold. You want to get them out of a dangerous place. So you want to keep them safe. You want to keep yourself safe. Get them inside to a dry, warm place. Take off any wet clothing. Wrap them up in warm blankets. Hypothermia is body temperature below 95 degrees. And you want to be careful because as the limbs warm up, the cold blood will go to the heart. So they have like a rebound effect. They may feel like they're getting better, and then they get worse as the blood circulates around. While you're waiting for help, you can also apply warm packs to their armpits, their groin, and their neck. And that'll help raise their core temperature and get them feeling better quicker. With mild hypothermia, you're going to have shivering and you're going to feel cold, and that's normal. You want to address those things, get them warm, get them safe. For severe hypothermia, you're you're gonna lose muscle control, you're gonna have confusion, you're gonna have agitation, you're gonna have slurred speech. People are not gonna act normal. You're gonna wanna get help right away for that, call 911. If they're alert and oriented and they can follow commands, give them warm drinks, not hot drinks, but warm drinks. That will help warm them up from the inside out. Although people think alcohol will warm you up, stay away from alcohol. That can dehydrate you and that can make things even worse.
All right, so what was the main difference between mild and severe hypothermia as far as signs and symptoms were concerned? There was one cardinal sign that belonged in one and definitely didn't happen in the other. Right, so what stops happening with severe hypothermia? Yeah, we don't shiver. So if you have patients shivering, that's a good sign. It means they're not severe yet. Keep them shivering. Keep that muscle generating. As soon as they stop that, what do you think happens? When they don't shiver, what do they lose? What do they lose from our table? Heat, right. Thermogenesis through metabolism stops. So is the temperature going to stay the same, go up or down? That's bad. Good. Nice. So let's talk about near and drowning right here. Start this one off with a video. All right, what did you notice about that? They pulled that baby out of a shallow pond of water. What did you notice about the baby's condition throughout that call? Ignoring the fact that they were tapping on the back, what did you notice about that baby? Yeah, it was always moving air a little bit. So they hadn't actually stopped breathing, okay? That is a defining factor in near drowning. The baby in this case wasn't actually dead or in cardiac arrest yet. Pretty shocking video, right? So let's talk about true drowning. By the way, do anybody know who this is? Anne Hathaway, yeah. Nearly drowned, okay. Okay, good. So here's, nope, that's not right. I want this video. Or is that going to take me wrong? Yeah, okay, sorry, it must be. Hold on a second here, guys. We have two of the same video. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me just search it here. Here we go. This is the one I wanted.
Welcome to Life Nugget. Every year there are over 370,000 drowning deaths worldwide, with children under 5 being the most at risk. And with all the drowning deaths you see in movies and TV, it's no wonder that people are afraid of dying that way. But what's actually going on during that process? Well, firstly, drowning isn't like how you see it in the movies. There's not a lot of thrashing around or yells for help. Typically, it's a silent act, where the person's mouth sinks below the surface of the water and then reappears as they try to breathe. Once they can no longer hold their initial breath and start to hyperventilate, they might aspirate water, triggering something called a laryngospasm. This is where the person's vocal cords spasm, blocking their airways and protecting their lungs. However, it also inconveniently makes yelling for help significantly harder to do. Since the person can't take in any fresh air, their oxygen supply starts to fall, potentially leading to a condition called hypoxia. This is where there's not enough oxygen reaching the body's tissues, and eventually, as the person becomes unconscious, there's a relaxation of their airway, allowing their lungs to fill with water. Depending on how long the person has gone without air, varying levels of damage can occur. For example, a 2013 study found that the likelihood of surviving with little to no brain damage was very low after being submerged for 10 minutes or more. The lack of oxygen can also lead to cardiac arrest. So basically what I'm saying is that drowning is absolutely terrifying, so please wear your life jackets, kids. They're cool, and they'll keep you safe. I know I look fantastic in my floaties. On top of all of that, if the person is in really cold water, there's also the fear of hypothermia, where the core body temperature falls below 35 degrees Celsius. When hypothermia sets in, it'll cause the body to start shivering intensely, and the person might act clumsy or confused. Their bodies slow down, including their respiration, heart, and metabolic rates, and eventually they might lose consciousness and even die. Let's all take a moment to mourn the loss of Jack from Titanic. But come on, there was seriously enough room on that door for him too. While hypothermia is a serious threat, it may actually help to prevent the effects of hypoxia. See, it can trigger the diving reflex, where blood vessels constrict and the heart rate slows, and the blood is diverted to the parts of the body that need it the most, like the brain. Hypothermia also decreases how much oxygen is needed by the body's tissues, meaning that it can actually prolong survival and help prevent the tissue damage from hypoxia. In fact, hypothermia and the diving reflex is often cited as a big reason why some young children have been able to survive drowning after being under the water for far more than 10 minutes. That being said, do not try to replicate that yourself. It's definitely best to stick with those huge inflatable pool toys instead. I call dibs on the flamingo. Are you afraid of the water? What life-threatening situation do you want us to talk about next? This episode was a little bit morbid, so why don't we celebrate the fact that you exist? If you want to know the odds of you being born and how lucky you are to be alive, check out this video. See, in most...
All right, good. We won't get into the odds of your existence here, but that's a very interesting video. What actually made it difficult for the patient or the victim of the drowning to breathe or call for help? Was it inhaling water? That's right. It was called what again? Laryngospasm. We've all experienced laryngospasm. It's the feeling you get when you cough. But imagine that feeling won't stop, and it's very, very intense. That's what laryngospasm is. There are certain respiratory conditions that cause laryngospasm too. Anybody know what it is? Asthma. That's right. Yeah, it can cause it. And also, why did people in cold water have a high chance of survivability, even if we find them to be nearly in cardiac arrest? Yeah, that's right. It's called the diving reflex, or they also call it the mammalian reflex. And some people believe it's something that has to do with a bit of evolution from where we came from, that we may have been water animals in the past. This is one of the theories about why this happens. But the cold temperature, what will that do for metabolism? Decrease, very severely decrease it. Basically like hibernating animals, it'll decrease it and preserve life as much as possible. We met a child who was 2 years old who had been submerged for 10 minutes, and when we got there, his mother had resuscitated him and he was crying and acting normally. 10 minutes, she hadn't seen him. That's an incredibly long amount of time to not breathe and be normal afterwards. Any questions about drowning and near drowning? Okay, so everybody grab your, I'm sorry. Go ahead. That is Anne Hathaway, if that's your question. A little louder for me, please. Why? Because of that dive reflex. Yes, the kids are more likely to have it. Adults don't have it as much. Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive to pediatrics, because pediatric children aren't very robust patients. They don't last long in bad situations. They tend to die if they die very quickly. They don't have a lot of backup in their body. So it's kind of backwards that they survive drownings really well. Any other questions? Okay, great. So, pop quiz. Let's grab our phones. We'll do a quick Kahoot. This isn't a normal Kahoot game. It's called Kahoot Jumble. So let's grab this here. You'll see the difference. Can't wait for that music. Where's our music? Need the music. All right, everybody has the game pin. Is it popping up? Oh, maybe there's no music for this new version of Kahoot. I like that name, Thermo.